Hey everybody, it's your host Mike App, and today we'll talk about how to get a really real, just real, and semi-real US bank and credit card. And by really real, I mean a bank and or credit card that is on US soil in US dollars, and by just real, I mean a bank and or credit card that is in US dollar and is also on US soil, but their headquarters is in Canada. And by semi-real, I mean a bank and or credit card that is on US dollar, but it's on Canadian soil and has no direct relationship to the United States. At the end of the day, these are all real accounts. These are just names I will be calling them in this video. However, they do have slightly different benefits and perks. Now, the reason why you want to get a US bank is because it's an easy way to securely hold your US funds and the ability to be able to send US dollar wire transfers or accept them, and to have access to US dollar checks or bank drafts. And reasons on why you want a really real or a cross-border US bank and credit card is because you get access to better credit cards and bonuses, especially for the sake of credit card churning and for day-to-day US dollar credit card usage. And with a US bank, you can get access to the US real estate market, and with a US credit card, you can then build your US credit score, which makes you eligible for US mortgages. Luckily, there are cross-border banks that make the process so much easier to get access to US real estate. And let's not forget access to US loans and lines of credit, along with US commercial banking. So for the sake of entrepreneurship, US real estate, and making more money, I think having a US bank and US dollar credit card is ideal, especially getting it on US soil. I also recommend watching this video from beginning till end so that way you can understand everything better and easier. And really quick, if you guys enjoy videos like this where I cover full in-depth reviews and tutorials on Canadian US banking and credit cards, just let me know by hitting the like button. That gives me a really good gauge if these are the types of videos you want to see more of, and it helps my entire channel tremendously. So thank you guys so much. Anyways, I'm going to start off with the easiest way to get US bank and credit cards for Canadians, which is the semi-real US bank, which is a US dollar account held on Canadian soil. Just before I explain how to acquire it, let me state the pros and cons for a semi-real US dollar bank account and or credit card. So the pros for a US dollar bank account on Canadian soil. 1, it's really easy to get. The bank that you currently have probably has a US dollar account that has no monthly fees, so you can just easily sign up with them. 3, you don't have to convert your US dollars into Canadian dollars, can invest into US dollars, can leverage US dollars, can send domestic Canada-wide transfers in USD or international-wide transfers in USD. Many services allow you to get paid directly in US dollar in these accounts, such as Stripe and other merchant accounts. However, not PayPal, but many cryptocurrency platforms are compatible with Canadian-based US dollar bank accounts, such as Crypto.com or Gemini.com. You can use your US dollar account to pay off your US credit card. However, they must be from the same banking provider. You can withdraw US dollars from Canadian ATMs, but very few ATMs actually provide this service. A couple BMO ATMs I've seen in Toronto offer this, but it's pretty rare. Maybe in the future they will, but currently right now, not many do. You can also write and deposit US checks and US bank drafts. And lately, CDIC now insures USD and other foreign currencies up to 100,000 Canadian dollars. So your US dollars are insured in these banks. However, it's not as high as a real US bank insurance, which offers $250,000 by the FDIC. But it's still good, especially in the beginning. So those are the pros. Now, cons for a US bank on Canadian soil. Well, wire transfers from Canada to the US will still be seen as international, thus usually a higher fee. You cannot make purchases in US dollars with your debit card from a Canadian US bank account, whether in Canada or in the US. You cannot withdraw US dollars from an American-based US ATM either. Basically, you can only use this Canadian US bank account online or through a branch. And then pros for a US credit card on Canadian soil. 1, it's also really easy to get a Canadian US dollar credit card. You don't have to pay any foreign transaction fees for US dollar purchases, nor do you have to pay the bank's rate for converting CAD dollars into US dollars. Can be used to make purchases anywhere in the world, including Canada and the US. Many online and international websites, products, and services charge in US dollars. Thus, again, you don't have to pay the conversion rate or foreign exchange fees when making purchases. If you're an entrepreneur and you utilize a lot of SaaS softwares, I am telling you a US dollar credit card is vital. You don't want to be paying so many Forex fees for online tools. And not only that, US dollar is more accepted everywhere in the world than CAD dollars. So it's just a good tool to have. By the way, sometimes online merchants and gas stations ask strictly for the zip code to process your credit card. And so the zip code is your Canadian postal code, but with some modifications. Basically, all the numbers plus 00 at the end will be the zip code. So if your postal code is A2B, 3C4, then your zip code would be 23400. Please note, this doesn't work all the time, but most of the time it does. And if you can, just type in your postal code instead of your 5-digit zip code. That works a lot better, again, if possible. And many currencies are actually one-to-one to US dollars or very close. So again, you don't have to pay the bank's rate and/or foreign exchange fees, or the fee/conversion rates are very tiny. For example, the Bahamian dollar is one-to-one to the US dollar. And when I was there, I didn't pay any Forex fees at all when I used my Canadian US dollar credit card. Other countries with currencies tied to the US dollar are Bahrain, Belize, Cuba, Djibouti, Eritrea, Hong Kong, Jordan, Lebanon, Oman, Panama, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and the UAE. I honestly think there's even more. So the US dollar is accepted by many countries, or a rebranded version of it is. Please note, you may still get charged fees when using your US credit card in the countries I just mentioned, so talk to your bank and your credit card issuer before swiping your card everywhere. However, if there are fees, they should be lower or non-existent. So for a travel card or for foreign purchases, a US dollar credit card is just better. It's way more widely accepted than Canadian dollars, and usually less fees when converting US to another currency compared to Canadian. And for businesses, especially those who are online, I say definitely get a US dollar credit card. Cons: all Canadian US dollar credit cards unfortunately have annual fees. But the BMO US MasterCard has a fee waiver if you spend $1,000 or more. The $35 fee gets waived. Currently, this is the only free US dollar credit card available in Canada, and it has the lowest annual fees too. However, very few Canadian US dollar credit cards offer any rewards and/or points, and very few offer extended and/or premium perks. The perks are somewhat basic. But again, this is the easiest and fastest option to get access to a US dollar credit card compared to the other two options, which will be explained further in this video. And I guess that's a reason to justify the $35 annual fee. It's really easy to get. Anyways, to get a Canadian US dollar bank account which have no monthly fees, however, usually they still have transaction fees around $1 to $2 per transaction, is to either get a US checking or US savings account. Usually the savings accounts are the ones with no monthly fees, so for the easiest and fastest solution, I recommend just opening a US dollar bank account from the bank that you currently work with. Many Canadian banks and credit unions offer no monthly fee US dollar bank accounts. However, like I said, they do have transaction or other fees. So just read their fee list and see if it makes sense with what you want to do in your specific case scenario. Anyways, if you are with TD, then go with TD. If you're with RBC, then go with RBC, and etc. Apparently, Scotiabank is the only one that has monthly fees for its US bank accounts. However, these pricings may change. Now, if you want a free US dollar account with no fees at all, then Tangerine and EQ Bank are your options. However, I know you guys want the best solution, and so EQ Bank currently offers 1% interest on all US dollars held in their account. This is the highest interest rate for US dollars, and it's even higher than all real US banks that currently offer high interest rates. Not only that, you can easily transfer US dollar from your EQ Bank to another bank. Also, Tangerine allows this service too. All other banks are very difficult or impossible to transfer USD to another bank. You usually have to withdraw the cash and then deposit it in, or do a wire transfer or a bank draft, which all cost money. So in a way, you can use your EQ Bank or Tangerine Bank as an intermediary bank to transfer US dollars from, let's say, your RBC US bank account to your CIBC US bank account. This is great if you happen to have more than a couple of US bank accounts from different banking providers. And remember, US dollar accounts are usually free, so it's no problem to open up a EQ US dollar account along with an RBC US dollar account. So in a way, the EQ Bank is basically the best one, but remember, EQ Bank has no ATMs or branches and minor support, and it's more so an online do-it-yourself bank. Therefore, you are limited to what you can do. So I would combine EQ Bank with a physical branch US dollar account, such as RBC or TD or BMO or CIBC or National Bank or a credit union. That way you can get access to best of both worlds, such as high interest rates, plus get access to physical deposits and withdrawals, checks and bank drafts, and wire transfers for your US dollar accounts. Now, if you want a Canadian US dollar credit card, then you have two options that I think are the best ones, at least as of right now. The BMO US Dollar MasterCard, which has an annual fee of $35, but you can waive it if you spend $1,000 a year. Thus, this is the only card you can technically get for free. This card doesn't offer any points and or rewards or business offers. However, it does provide the ability to add additional cardholders for free, double your warranty by an additional 1 year, and purchase assurance for up to 90 days from the date of purchase, along with all the other typical credit card benefits such as purchase and fraud protection. Now, if you want points and spend more than $65,000 a year in US dollar purchases, then the RBC US Visa Gold Card is your best bet. It has an annual fee of $65. There is a $30 fee for additional card holders. You get 1 point per dollar. It has extended warranty for up to an additional 1 year, purchase assurance for up to 90 days after the date of purchase, and it comes with a couple trip insurance policies, such as travel accident insurance for up to $500,000, trip cancellation for up to $2,500, trip interruption insurance for up to $2,500, baggage delay for up to $500, lost or stolen baggage for up to $500, and rental car theft and damage insurance. Also, I noticed that RBC is more favorable in giving out larger credit limits and an easier time getting access to credit limit increases without hard inquiry credit checks. Basically, RBC allows you every 6 months to call in and ask for a credit limit increase without a credit check, whereas BMO is somewhat random and not as generous for its credit limit increases. For example, my RBC Visa Gold Card has a limit of around $40,000, whereas my BMO US MasterCard has a limit of around $10,000. And I had these accounts for more or less the same time. And for both accounts, I never did a credit limit increase with a credit check. I just simply called in and asked for it. So getting access to a larger credit limit is something you may need to consider too when getting a US dollar credit card, and RBC US Dollar Visa Gold Card makes a better choice for that. Now, if you get the BMO US Dollar MasterCard, then I recommend you also open up the BMO US Dollar bank account, whether a savings or checking account, because it will make it so much more easier to pay your US dollar credit card, since you cannot pay from another bank to this credit card, especially in US dollars. And if you get the RBC US Visa Gold Card, then I recommend you also open up a RBC US Dollar bank account for the very same reason. When you do this, you can easily pay off your US dollar balance through online banking, and you can use EQ Bank as an intermediary bank to, let's say, transfer US dollar from your CIBC US bank account to your RBC US bank account, and then use your RBC US bank to then pay off your RBC US credit card. So one bank cannot do everything you want, nor can you take advantage of the banks without utilizing more than one bank account. By the way, if you want to learn all the advantages of credit and credit cards and how to maintain multiple credit lines and bank accounts, I really recommend checking out my Credit and Credit Card Leverage 5.0 program. Go to creditnation.club for more information. So just to get a US dollar bank account quickly, I recommend opening it from a bank that you currently bank at. That is the fastest option. And if you want to get a high interest on your US dollars, I recommend EQ Bank. And if you want to transfer US dollars from one bank to another bank, then I also recommend EQ Bank for that, or Tangerine Bank. And if you want a Canadian US dollar credit card and pay very little fees or none, then BMO US MasterCard is your choice. And if you spend a lot in US dollars, then the RBC US Visa Gold Card is your choice. And if you end up getting either or credit card, then I recommend opening up a US dollar bank account at the same bank issuer of that credit card, since it just makes it easier to pay off your US dollar credit cards. Alright, so that was it for semi-real US banks and credit cards, which are technically the easiest US accounts to open for Canadians. Now, how about just real US banks and credit cards? So these are real US banks and credit cards on US soil, but they're managed by Canadian banks. They're also known as cross-border accounts. Just before I explain how to acquire them, I want to go through the pros and cons for a real US bank and US credit card. So pros for a just real US bank on US soil. Many accounts have no monthly fees, also fairly easy to open these accounts. Access to US domestic wire transfers such as ACH payments, access to payment services such as Zelle, access to the ability to transfer from one US bank to another US bank. However, I noticed most US banks and cross-border accounts require you to have a US address and a US physical phone number to have access to Zelle and or have the ability to transfer funds to another US bank account. A solution to this would be to get a virtual address or getting a real physical address, especially if you have family living in the United States. Most of us will go with a virtual address due to its price and convenience. What you will need to do is basically give them a US virtual address to add to your file, but use your Canadian address for mailing purposes. And give them a US physical phone number, or else you won't get access to external account transfers and or Zelle payments. Please note, this is not required. You can just use your Canadian address if you want. But again, if you want access to those specific services, then you will need to do that. There are costs to this. It's $90 for 12 months for a mailbox/mail forwarding and $1.50 to $2.50 to forward your mail from 247parcel.com/mailbox. And the cost for a mobile SIM from ultramobile.com is $9.99 for the unlimited US talk and text, and it comes with 250 megabytes of data. And you will have to have Wi-Fi calling enabled on your phone to get service in Canada. So to get a US virtual address, just use 247parcel.com/mailbox to sign up for their services. Then use the 247parcel address to purchase a SIM card from ultramobile.com and then forward it to your Canadian address, and then activate the Ultramobile SIM and then use that phone number for your US bank account and to verify your Zelle account. You can also easily transfer your US dollars from your Canadian-based US dollar account to your American-based US dollar account from the same banking issuer. You can send domestic wire transfers in America in USD, thus saving money. Any services that allow you to deposit or withdraw US funds from your bank are always compatible with these US bank accounts, meaning you can transfer US dollars from your PayPal account to these banks. Crypto exchanges will have no problems working with these banks, along with any other services such as Venmo, Pioneer, or TransferWise, and etc. You can use your American US dollar bank account to pay off your American US credit cards, and they don't have to be from the same banking provider. You can withdraw US dollars from US ATMs. You can make purchases in US dollars anywhere, including the US. You can get access to US branches in America. You can write and deposit and get access to real US checks and US bank drafts. And if you work in the United States or do contract work, they can pay you directly into these accounts since they have the routing and transit numbers they need. Many of these banks are made for retirees and for those who want to get into US real estate. And in the US, real estate is a lot cheaper than Canada, and so it's a great way to get your foot in the door for US real estate. They even offer seminars and webinars to help to get started. I know Desjardins and RBC US Bank offer these services. Just make sure to sign up for their email list or just ask them when their next event is. Again, as an entrepreneur, I think it's vital to have a real US bank account. That way you can get access to more tools and get your foot in the door in terms of US real estate. Now, cons for cross-border or just real US bank accounts. Some providers of these accounts have some form of monthly fees. However, the fees are waived if you hold X amount of money starting from around $200 to $5,000 depending on the banking issuer. But like I mentioned, there are options for no monthly fees with no fee waivers. They don't necessarily provide the best interest rates or have the best fee structures. However, they are a lot easier to open than a really real US bank account such as Chase or Wells Fargo. Some of these bank accounts require a hard credit inquiry. I know BMO Harris does for sure, but I also know TD, CIBC, and RBC don't do credit checks when opening a US bank account. At least when I did it, they didn't need to. Again, you can just call in and ask if they do. As for National Bank and Desjardins, I'm not sure, but you can just give them a call and see what they say. And some of these banks require you to be in a Canadian side branch to open an account. I know for a fact BMO Harris did. I don't know if they still do. Just call in and ask. And I know CIBC, TD, and RBC, you don't need to be in person at a Canadian side branch to open an account. You can just do everything through your phone. As for National Bank and Desjardins, I'm not sure, but again, you can just give them a call and see what they say. The process always changes, so it's just best to call and ask, and most likely you will need to either mail/email and provide identification along with an entry deposit, such as a bank draft or a check in US dollars. However, some banks allow you to deposit after you open the account. I also recommend if you open up a real US bank, then it's best to open its Canadian counterpart. That way you can easily deposit US dollars into your Canadian US bank and then transfer it to your real US bank. And you can also easily withdraw your funds out from your real US bank by reversing the process. So like I mentioned, some banks allow you to deposit money after you open the account. If they have a minimum fee waiver, I recommend putting the minimum amount plus $100 to $200 in just in case. And you will get charged the monthly fee for the first month if you decide not to open it the day of with the deposit that matches the minimum fee waiver amount. So account for that charge. That is why I say put $100 or $200 extra just to cover any logistical fees. Since these are real US banks, you are subjected to US laws, meaning if you make money in these accounts, you may be subjected to US tax. Contact a US tax lawyer or accountant for help, especially if you take advantage of CDs, which are basically GICs, or if you take advantage of high interest accounts. However, currently EQ Bank offers way better interest rates than all American banks right now. And most of America's CDs are not even that good, so it's not a huge deal. It's most likely if you're getting paid in these accounts, then the tax applies. So the best just real US bank account or cross-border accounts are Desjardins and the BMO Harris Smart Advantage account, since they offer checking accounts with no monthly fees. However, I know BMO Harris asks for a credit inquiry. However, I'm not sure if Desjardins does. And make sure to turn off physical paper statements because they usually always have a fee and you should be good in terms of paying no fees. As I mentioned before, I recommend opening the Canadian counterpart of the real US bank. So if you open up a BMO Harris cross-border US checking account, make sure to also open a BMO Canada US dollar checking or savings account. That way you can transfer your funds and withdraw and deposit 1,000 times easier. So to open these accounts, just call in and ask to open up a cross-border account and tell them you want specifically a cross-border account because you're a Canadian resident looking for banking in the US. And then they will go through the process with you. Then they will most likely send you documents and you will need to sign and send them back, or you'll have to send documents to them such as ID and possibly an opening deposit check or bank draft. Also, if you're interested in US real estate, then I recommend Desjardins along with RBC. By the way, RBC doesn't have Zelle, just a little note. And the reason why I recommend these banks for US real estate is because they provide free webinars, information, and seminars for account holders that are interested in US real estate, especially in Florida, but also other states too. Also, I would say include Nat Bank into that too, or National Bank. However, RBC US checking accounts always have fees with no monthly fee waivers. The first year is free though, but they do have a US personal savings account for 0 monthly fee with a $300 minimum balance waiver. So you can do that instead. And not only do you get access to US real estate, you now can get access to US loans, US lines of credit, US mortgages, US credit cards, and other services by having at least one real US bank account open. As for the other banks such as CIBC, TD, and etc., they're also very easy to open. However, they do require a minimum account to waive the fee. Other than that, they're also pretty good. So for pros and cons for just real or cross-border credit card accounts, here we go. Pros: better bonus offers, points, and cash back compared to Canadian-based US credit cards. Better perks and premium perks are provided. Usually no annual fees, and if there are annual fees, they provide better perks and benefits. You get to build your US credit score, which is good to get your foot in the door for US real estate and US mortgages, along with other US credit lines and US commercial banking. Technically speaking, US credit doesn't affect your Canadian credit, and the same perks as I mentioned previously in the semi-real US credit accounts, such as not paying foreign transaction fees for US dollar purchases or bank rates when converting Canadian dollars to US dollars. And you can use these cards anywhere to make purchases. Also, US credit cards offer way better interest rates compared to Canadian credit cards, especially if your Canadian credit score is good. My RBC Visa Signature Black Card has an interest rate of 5.99%, which is lower than my personal lines of credit from Canadian banks, which are at 6.5 to 7.5% as of right now. However, the 5.99% from my US credit card is for purchases, whereas my line of credit is for cash advances, but still pretty good, especially since my average Canadian credit card has an interest rate of 19.99% for purchases. This only matters if you're leveraging or borrowing credit. If you're not, then it doesn't really matter too much. And the cons for a US cross-border credit card: not much really, other than the fact that they may not be the best credit cards. Like, you won't be able to open a Trace credit card or a Wells Fargo credit card through this method. However, other than that, there isn't any other cons. I guess it is harder to open than a Canadian-based US credit card, but remember, those cards all have fees. And so, what's the best cross-border or just real credit card to get? The TD Cashback Visa card, which is a no annual fee card that gives you 2% cash back, 1% when you purchase, and another 1% when you redeem your cash back into a TD bank account, a 0% balance transfer for up to 15 months, earn $150 cash back when you spend $1,000 within 90 90 days. Basically, this card gives you the highest cash back with no annual fees with a couple perks. It's the best option in terms of high cash back. And then we have the BMO Harris Bank Platinum Rewards MasterCard, a no annual fee card which gives you 2% cash back on gas and groceries, 1% on everything else, free roadside assistance, car rental insurance, double warranty by up to additional 2 years, 0% balance transfer for up to 12 months, and earn $200 cash back when you spend $2,000 within 90 days. Not a bad card, but I doubt most of us would use the 2% cash back in groceries or gas, especially if you're not living in the US. Now, if you are, sure. And then we have the RBC Visa Signature Black Card, a no annual fee card. Earn 1 point per $1 spent. You can also redeem it for 1% cash back. And it also includes trip insurance, such as trip cancellation or trip interruption insurance up to $5,000, travel accident insurance up to $500,000, lost luggage reimbursement up to $3,000, auto rental collision damage waiver, and purchase security up to $500 per occurrence. It's really not a bad trip/travel credit card. By the way, all these cards advertise a rate of 9.99% to 25.99%, but it can be lower than that. Like I said, I've received just real US credit cards with an interest rate of 46%. Other than these US cross-border credit cards, all the other cards found from other US cross-border banking providers offer 1% cashback or points, along with some extra minor perks. So I would say TD Cashback Visa Card is your best bet for the highest cashback rate. Other than that, everything else is okay for cross-border or just real US credit cards. Yes, I know other US banks offer way better credit cards, but like I said, they're more difficult to acquire. So if you want no annual fees, build your US credit score, and get your foot in the door for US real estate along with other services and tools, I really recommend opening up one of these cross-border US banks and US credit cards. All right, now if you want to open a really real US bank account, this is it. By the way, if you made it this far, please hit the like button for the YouTube algorithm and hit that subscribe button to help this channel's growth. So just before I explain how to acquire one, let's go through the pros and cons of a really real US bank and US credit card account. Pros for a really real US bank and credit card. Better perks, better benefits, and accessibility. Like there are way more Chase, Wells Fargo, and US Bank ATMs than let's say BMO Harris or RBC US Bank. However, TD does have a good foothold in America, so TD cross-border banking could be a good solution without needing to get a really real US bank, since they're pretty much one. And by building your banking relationships with these banks, you will get an easier time getting access to loans, lines of credit, credit cards, commercial credit, and etc. Or at least get your foot in the door, that way you can easily sign up later for these services. Cons, a lot more difficult to get, somewhat of a process, but it's definitely doable. Not recommended as your first US dollar bank account or credit card. I recommend options 1 and 2 that I mentioned previously in this video. So to acquire a really real US bank and credit account, such as Chase or Citibank, you will need to get a virtual or physical US address. If you don't have family in the US, then you can just use 247parcel.com's virtual address and mailbox forwarding services, and then use ultramobile.com as your US phone provider. Once you have your US virtual address and your US SIM card, then you will need to open up a cross-border bank account. I recommend BMO Harris Smart Advantage or the Desjardins US dollar account, since they have a no monthly fees without any minimum fee waivers. Though I recommend putting at least $50 to $250 in there just in case of mistakes like doing too many transactions or overdrafting. When you sign up for BMO Harris or Desjardins US bank account, make sure you use your virtual address as your residential address, and then you can use your Canadian address as your mailing address. Or just allow your virtual address to be your mailing address too, and then let 247 Parcel forward it to your mailing address. Once you receive your cross-border banking account, you may need this account as proof of residency when opening your really real US bank account such as Chase. So basically, we're using a cross-border bank account as proof of address in the United States to acquire, let's say, a Chase Bank. And then you will need to get a real US credit card. We have 2 options to open a real US credit card, such as opening up a cross-border credit card like TD Double Up Credit Card or the BMO Harris Bank Cashback MasterCard or the RBC Visa Signature Black Card. And then make sure to put in your US virtual address in the credit card profiles. Or you can use the Global Transfer Program from Amex to get access to its real US credit cards. Amex knows that clients move around the world, so they make it easier for clients to receive credit cards based in another country, especially when they already have an Amex card in their home country. Though you don't have to be an Amex member to take advantage of their US credit card applications, because they will use a service called Nova, which will allow them to use your Canadian credit to see if you're approved for their US credit card. To do the American Express Global Transfer, simply go on their US website and select the card that you want, and then while on the application page, put in your US address, and instead of placing your social security number, make sure to check the box that states, I don't have credit history in the US, but I have had a credit card or loan in the UK, India, Mexico, Canada, or Australia. They will then use your Canadian credit score to determine your eligibility for the card. And if your credit is good, then you'll most likely get it accepted. This card will then be mailed to your virtual address, which will then be forwarded to your Canadian address. And I recommend whether a cross-border credit card or a US Amex card that you choose a no annual fee card, since this will be your first card that will be used to build your US credit. And so you don't want to pay money for each year to hold on to it. And the longer you have your card, the better it is for your US credit and credit report. Basically, hold this card and don't cancel it. By the way, a good first US Amex card to get is the American Express Hilton Honors card, which has no annual fees, comes with 80,000 bonus points after you spend $1,000 within 90 days, and earn additional 50,000 bonus points after you spend a total of $5,000 within the first 6 months. So we'll use a cross-border credit card or an Amex Global Transfer credit card to build our US credit for at least 1 year. That way we have a good US credit score / report on file, and then we can apply for a Chase credit card or any other US credit card that's based in the US. But we're not done just yet. To get access to Chase cards or Wells Fargo cards or their bank accounts, you will need a social security number. So if you're a US citizen, lived or worked there, you most likely have one. If you don't, you can just get an ITIN number, which stands for Individual Taxpayer Identification Number. Basically, an ITIN number is proof that you are a foreign resident who does business or even purchases real estate in the US to prevent or reduce withholding taxes. So to get an ITIN number, you will have to fill in a W-7 form. Unfortunately, this form is a bit confusing, and you will also need a letterhead from a US company that basically states you make money from them. Even if you just make $5 or more, you are eligible for an ITIN. However, the most recommended way of acquiring an ITIN is by paying a lawyer and letting them do all the dirty work. That way you have assurance it will go through. So ustaxresources.ca/ITIN offers this service for roughly $263, and they do the whole process for you. However, I provided links in the description below that provide information on how to complete the form on your own if you want to do it yourself. Once you have all the documentation, which is having a completed W-7 form, a reason on why you want to file an IRS tax, again, ustaxresources.com will take care of this. And if you sell on any US platform and make more than $5, you are eligible for an ITIN. So udemy.com, Amazon Kindle, Smashwords, and CreateSpace are examples of places where you can get an ITIN number for. And then you will need a certified copy of your passport, which costs $45 to get from the Canadian government. Link is in the video description below. So once you have all these, mail it with tracking to the IRS. Please note the IRS is backlogged right now and has taken up to 16 weeks for some people to get their ITIN numbers. And that's why I state it's better to go with a lawyer. That way there are no mistakes and you don't have to repeat the process and wait 32 weeks to get your ITIN number. So once you have received your ITIN number, a cross-border US credit card, or an Amex US credit card, you should wait at least 1 year so that you have established your US credit score before applying to a Chase or Wells Fargo credit card. Also, to increase your likelihood of getting approved for their credit sources, it's best to apply for their banking accounts, whether a checking or savings account. So if you want a Chase credit card, I recommend opening a Chase bank account if you can. Usually you have to do these in person, and preferably a free account or an account with a minimum balance waiver. And remember that Chase has the 524 rule, so don't apply to too many credit cards in the US or else you won't be eligible to acquire Chase cards. That is if you really want Chase cards. And also remember, US business credit cards do not get added to the 524 rule that Chase has. So in the meantime, if you have Amex, you can look into their business US credit cards or get US business credit cards from your cross-border accounts. So getting a really real US credit card and or bank account, as you can see, is a bit difficult, lots of paperwork and costs. However, it's a one-time setup for a long-term opportunity. You now get access access to pretty much all US banks and credit cards at this point. Just to conclude the whole video, if you just want a US bank to hold US funds and to get interest, then get an EQ US dollar account. If you need physical in-branch support, then pretty much any US dollar account from most Canadian banks and credit unions are fine. If you just need a US dollar credit card because you spend a lot in US dollars or travel a lot, then get the US BMO MasterCard or the US RBC Visa Gold Card. Remember, these are technically Canadian cards and only build your Canadian credit score. Now, if you want a real US bank and not deal with so much paperwork, then go with any cross-border banking account such as TD, BMO Harris, RBC US Bank, NAT Bank, Desjardins Bank, or CIBC US Bank. And remember to open up an equivalent US dollar account on their Canadian side. And also, again, if you don't want to do so much paperwork and want to build your US credit score, then get any of the cross-border US credit cards that have no annual fees, such as the TD Double Up card or the RBC Black Visa Signature card. Now, if you want access to the whole US market in terms of banking and credit cards, then you will need to go through the process I mentioned prior, which is to get a 24/7 parcel address, a US phone number from Ultra Mobile, a US cross-border banking account, an ITIN number, and an Amex Global Transfer credit card or a US cross-border credit card, and that's it. Holy, that was a lot of information. Congratulations for getting this far. Now, if you have any tips of your own for US credit cards and banking, let me know in the comment section down below. With that said, you guys, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it as always. Make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell. And also feel free to add me on Instagram and TikTok. I post pretty much daily, so if you want to be a part of that, feel free. And lastly, if you want completely 2 free stocks now worth up to $4,500, use the link down below in the description and sign up. And don't forget the complete credit card leverage 5.0 program in the video description below. Thank you guys so much. Let me know what free stocks you get. Until next time, this is your host, Mike Gap. Peace.